Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So, this is the July 2024 monthly astro forecast for the sign of Cancer. So, this video is definitely for Cancer rising. However, if you are a Cancer sun, feel free to watch the video as well. And as always, if you are cross watching for that special Cancer in your life, then you've definitely come to the right place. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so to kick things off, I just want to wish all of my Cancer sons a happy solar return. It is your season, and it is definitely time to turn up. All right, so I wish you nothing but the absolute best for this new year of life. I wish you abundance, great wealth, health, joy, love, and continued blessings. All right, so let's get into a general overview of the energy for the month. So during the month of July, the sun begins in the sign of Cancer, your sign, and then it moves on to the sign of Leo. So everything about July has a lot to do with you. So it has to do with your outlook, your personality, your appearance in your body, but also your value system, your self-esteem, your self-worth, your money, and your possessions. So when the sun is in Cancer, whether you are a Cancer rising or a Cancer sun, it is all about you. It is your season. You know how it is before your solar return or at your birthday, right? It's your personal new year. So you're thinking about new things that you want to do, new goals, new dreams, new aspirations. Maybe now you want to get in shape. Maybe you want to change your appearance. All of that is sun in first house energy. So when the sun is in Cancer, that's exactly what you're going to be focusing on. It's all about you. Take some quiet time to think about what you want to do in this new year of life. Journal, script, envision your future. It is your time to shine, so make the most of the energy while the sun is in the sign of Cancer. Thereafter, when the sun moves into Leo, it's going to highlight your second house of money and material possessions. Now, this is the house of your personal finances, your possessions, your assets, but it's also things that you value. And a lot of that has to do with our self-worth and our self-esteem. Now, I bring that up specifically because Leo is a sign that is ruled by the heart. It is heart-centered, and it's all about expressing ourself and our heart's desires authentically. And that has a lot to do with our self-esteem and our self-worth. What do we believe about ourselves? What do we think about ourselves? And how does that affect how we express ourselves, especially our self-expression in an authentic sort of way? So when the sun moves into the sign of Leo, we're not only just focused on our money, which undoubtedly will be focused on. So maybe creating something new that can generate income, just being creative, expressing yourself, creative endeavors that could, increase your finances. Anything that your heart truly desires, especially as it pertains to money and assets, that will be the focus during Leo season. However, it's also about your self-worth, your value system, what you want out of life, and how you see yourself for exactly who you are authentically. So to sort of put a bow on this energy for the month of July for you specifically, it's all about you. How you look, how you appear, what you believe about yourself, and what is truly important to you. When the sun goes into Leo, it's not just about money, like I said before, it's about what's valuable to you and what really makes your heart sing and what really represents who you truly are. All right, so that is July in a nutshell. So now let's get into the general astrology for the month of July. All right, so let's talk about the cosmic weather forecast for July 2024. And if you haven't already, check out my general July 2024 monthly astro forecast. The link will be in the description box below. So first off, we start off with Mercury moving into the sign of Leo, and this is going to highlight your second house of money and material possessions. Now, remember, I just said before, this house also covers your self-worth and self-esteem. And so with Mercury going into this sign, thinking about what is valuable to you, thinking about how you think about yourself, perhaps thinking of a master plan to make more money in your life, maybe to get a new job, maybe to embark on a new creative endeavor that can add value to your life, is something that Mercury moving into Leo is going to provide for you. So I would definitely take the opportunities to engage in anything creative. Leo is a very creative sign. Mercury in Leo, lots of creative ideas, whether it's creative writing, creative speaking, any of those things will definitely thrive when Mercury moves into Leo. Thereafter, we have Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Pisces, and this is happening in your ninth house of higher education and long distance travel. Now, Neptune retrograde has a lot to do with our inner world and our spirituality. Neptune is otherworldly, it's etheric, right? It's the planet of service. It's the planet of selflessness, right? And when it's retrograde, it's kind of like, how can we be of service to ourselves? One of the things that always comes to mind when I think about Neptune retrograde is you cannot fill from an empty cup. If your cup has been depleted, it's going to be hard to fill other people's cups because you really have nothing to give. And so Neptune retrograde allows you to replenish your inner world and perhaps strengthen your spiritual bond, strengthen your relationship with your higher self even. Now, Neptune retrograde is going to last a couple of months, so it's not something you're just going to focus on within the month of July. However, that energy of introspection, that energy of replenishing your own cup is definitely going to begin in the month of July. Thereafter, we have the new moon of the month, which is going down in your sign of Cancer, and this is going to highlight your first house. So any personal goals, any personal dreams, anything that is personal to you that you want to nurture and develop over the next couple of months or even over the next year, you're going to plant those seeds at that new moon. Do not forget that this new moon and this season, July, especially the first part of July, is all about you, okay? Again, it sort of evokes what I was saying before about you cannot fill from an empty cup. So July is definitely one of those months where you are going to replenish yourself. You guys are nurturers, you guys are givers, and sometimes you give when you don't even have. So allow yourself to replenish yourself. Take that energy that you would direct to others and direct it to yourself this month. And you're going to plant those seeds again at that new moon in Cancer. Thereafter, we have Venus moving into the sign of Leo, which is going to be your second house of money and material possessions. Venus being the planet of money, July is going to be a time when you are focusing on your personal finances or maybe your assets or maybe your possessions. This is a great time to get your head and your heart on the same page with respect to what it is that you want and what it is that you want to have and what you value. And when it comes to money, this is a month where you're going to want to be creative. I'm also hearing the word crafty. So maybe if you're someone who's into crafts, maybe if you make things with your hands, maybe if you are channeling your inner child and maybe you're painting or doing something fun, this may be something that you may want to monetize. It's not to say that we have to monetize all of our hobbies, but with Venus and Leo in your second house this month, you may be one of the signs that would benefit from doing so. Thereafter, we have Mars moving into Gemini, and this is going to energize your 12th house of solitude, confinement, rest, and relaxation. Mars in Gemini is very busybody energy. And so the 12th house is the house of our inner world. It can be the recesses of our mind. And so your mind is going to be probably going on all cylinders. This is going to be a time when you're focusing on your inner world, but you're taking a logical stance when it comes to that. A lot of motivations to change your life, spiritual motivations to perhaps engage in more spiritual practices, learn more spiritual practices. Those are all sort of boilerplate things that can happen when Mars is in Gemini. Thereafter, we have the full moon of the month, which is going down in the sign of Capricorn. And this is your 7th house of relationships. Now, this is the second full moon in a row that's going down in the sign of Capricorn. The full moon in June was in Capricorn as well. So whatever transpired, whatever you were shown, whatever came to fruition at that full moon in June, in the sign of Capricorn, that story is continuing now in July. So this has a lot to do with wrapping things up. This has a lot to do with sort of ending a cycle, moving on to a new one. So pay attention to what you are shown at this full moon in Capricorn. It's going to be very eye-opening in terms of your relationships. You could be taking a relationship to a new level, or maybe you're ending a relationship and now you're newly single. Relationships are definitely going to be the focus again for this new moon in Capricorn. Thereafter, the sun is going to move into Leo and energize your second house. Everything I said about your second house before still applies. It just means that when the sun goes into Leo, all of that is going to be energized. And the sun is going to join Mercury and Venus. So you got your mind on your money, your heart on your money, your focus is on your money, and your personal finances, values, and assets are going to be energized once the sun moves into the sign of Leo. And then finally, we close out the month with Mercury moving into its home sign of Virgo, and this is going to highlight your third house of ideas and communication. The third house also covers things like siblings, your immediate environment, the things that are around you. Mercury in its home sign of Virgo has a lot to do with analyzing what is around us. The third house is the house of transactions. It's also the house of learning, specifically learning specific skills. So this may be a time when you are learning a specific skill or you're analyzing what is around you in a very practical sort of way. Maybe you're taking a look at your daily routine and what could be tweaked, what you perhaps need to learn, or who you are learning from. The third house has a lot to do with our immediate environment, and you may be analyzing who is in your day-to-day life, who is in your immediate environment, who do you interact with on a daily basis. Analyzing that and then figuring out what to do with that information is probably going to be highlighted once Mercury moves into its home sign of Virgo. All right, so that is the astrology for the month of July. So now let's get into some important dates within July that you will want to pay attention to. All right, so as a Cancer rising, your chart ruler is the moon. So anything that the moon is doing currently in the sky and even in your natal chart are always going to be of utmost importance to you. Now, the moon changes signs every 2 to 3 days, so you guys have a lot of lunar transits throughout the month. But whenever we have a new moon or a full moon, although both of these always affect everyone, they affect you the most because the moon is your chart ruler. All right. So within the month of July, the first date that you will want to pay attention to is July 5th, and that is the new moon in your sign of Cancer. This is perhaps the most important new moon of the year for you as a Cancer rising. This allows you to plant new seeds where you can nurture and develop yourself. It's a rebirth of sorts. It's a baptism of sorts, even when it comes to you and your personal development. So of all the new moons in July, well, there's only one in July, but of all the new moons in 2024, this one in July is the most important one. So July 5th is perhaps one of the most important days of the year for you, Cancer. So think long and hard about who you want to be, what you want to have, what you want to do. Those are the seeds that you're going to plant at this new moon and that you're going to nurture over the months to come. And then finally, the other date that you're going to want to pay special attention to is going to be July 21st, and that's the full moon in Capricorn. It's going down in your 7th house, has a lot to do with the relationships. Full moons are all about culmination and or illumination. In the 7th house, this could be taking your relationship to a new level of commitment. This could be ending a relationship even. Either way, there's something perhaps major happening with relationships this month at this full moon in Capricorn. Pay attention or reflect on what happened at the full moon in Capricorn in June, and that story is going to continue for you in July. So again, the two dates you're going to want to pay attention to this month, July 5th and July 21st. All right, so now let's get into a brief message from Spirit for you for the month. All right, Cancer. So the card that I pulled for you for this month is the card entitled Limbo. It is the card associated with Sagittarius, and it is the same card as the card of Temperance. So you are being urged to be patient at this time. There's a certain amount of personal development that is underway for you. And I feel like you're very much taking a very different direction in life. You're going higher. Many of you are very much tied to family, whether that is emotionally, whether it's by obligation, but you have these very strong family ties that I feel are changing at this time. Whether you are moving away from the family you were born into and sort of focusing your energy on the family that you've created or the family that you want to create, or maybe you are just redefining what family means for you and to you. There's a certain amount of elevation, a certain amount of travel. And when I say travel, I mean sort of going from where you are to sort of where you want to be in terms of your personal development. And that is still underway. And I get the sense that you know this. However, there's this sense of impatience. Maybe you feel like there's a sense of urgency. Like maybe you're like, I need to start a family now, or I need to get married now, or something like that, right? And Spirit is just like, calm down. Everything happens in divine time and divine timing, and everything happens as it should. This new you is unfolding. It's like you are slowly making your way out of the chrysalis. You were the caterpillar and now you're turning into the butterfly. And that process is a process and it takes some time. So try not to buy into this. You have to do this by this time, or you're this age and you need this now. That sense of urgency will only serve as a disservice to you. Allow things to unfold as they need to unfold, because it's not just you. You're working in tandem with Spirit, and Spirit works on Spirit's time, whether we like it or not. But when we lean into divine timing, when we lean into the process that Spirit is trying to take us through, things unfold as if by magic. And magic is definitely trying to make its way into your life at this time. All right, Cancer. So that concludes this video on the July 2024 monthly astro forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into the month. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.